on the starting line. This is the machine that, during preliminaries, tied world champion Tom Martin's best effort. If he can get this thing through the pit under power and straight, Shelley, Lord knows how quick he's going to go.
You know, part of the commitment that he's made to Valvoline in order to have Valvoline sponsor this car is he's involved with the Just Say No to Drugs program for kids. And this car is going to be traveling around the country for the kids to see on different promotional activities. And it's nice to see a real positive tie-in like that.
I'll tell you, it's an amazing team effort. But remember, the U.S. Auto Association national record for 80-foot long pits, 1.95 seconds, may be in jeopardy. Randy Moore, a veteran of championship mud racing, but he's never created anything like this before. Absolutely incredible. The 4-star racing chassis sponsored and created Team Valvoline Jeep Funny Car. A little bit of an odd angle on the starting line. Hopefully that will not keep him from progressing straight. Tremendous launch, but powering through the mud with the left front wheel in the air. Unfortunately, it looked like the right front tire, actually from a driver's standpoint, was not getting power. We'll have to wait till we see the replay to see if that was a problem. But the machine dug deep into the pit, and that should not have happened because this is a very lightweight vehicle, 2,150 pounds. On the slow motion replay, let's see if we can see exactly what the problem was. The machine leaves the line. It's got power to both front tires, but now it's going into a torque wheel stand that is actually forcing the right front tire down deeper into the mud. That's a chassis problem, an incorrect chassis setting that caused that machine to literally plow through that pit. I'll tell you what, Shelley, we're going to be seeing a lot more of this young man and this incredible vehicle in the 1990 U.S. Auto Association National Event Trail. Randy Moore and the Team Valvoline Jeep created what many people may believe to be the most incredible mud racer ever. A fuel-injected, methanol-burning, nitrous oxide-injected 541 cubic inch Chevrolet in a 1932 Ford 5-window fiberglass coupe. Shelley, you can't say enough about this guy.
Well, I can say a little bit more. This guy is so cool. Back in the tunnel before the show, he's very methodical about everything. He takes his time to line up the car, make sure all the gauges are doing what they should. He just doesn't go out there and take chances. He's very deliberate at what he does.
It's a very, very good analogy of this young man. In fact, one of his trademarks is that he sits on the starting line for quite a while, even after the green flag is thrown. Remember, the clocks don't start until the vehicle actually moves, waiting to build up engine temperature. He's a firm believer in leaving the starting line with the engine at the exact same heat level each and every run. And you'll see him sit up there and just watch that gauge, letting the engine idle and build up a little bit of heat. And remember that too much heat in the engine will give you too much power. You'll spin the tires. Too little heat, the machine won't have enough power to get off the starting line. He knows exactly where this machine should be. The mark to beat. Great pass, shutting off maybe a little bit early, throwing mud everywhere. He was trying to get away cleanly off the starting line without tire spin that would slow him down. It looked like he spun the tires just a little bit, but I think it may have been a good enough pass.
And we should point out that isn't smoke. That's just steam that you see rising. That's not a problem there.
It's true. Most of that steam is caused by the wet mud hitting the hot exhaust headers. It's just basically like throwing the stuff in a frying pan. Tom Martin, the 375-pound world champion. Here's the replay. Look at this. Beautiful launch. A lot better than it actually initially looked. Now he really has to work the front wheels in the air, sliding across the finish line after shutting off maybe about 3 feet before the line. The mark to beat, 2.31 seconds. The world champ runs 2.18. And Tom Martin takes over the #1 spot again. The incredible Mud Patrol. And there's the look of the world champion when he knows he's been in the #1 spot. The big smile from the big guy.
And boy, is his pit crew going to be happy. His mom and dad, John and Norma.
That's right. Well, Shelley Herman, here is a machine that has been one of the most frightening to watch during our U.S. Auto Association National Event season. A relatively new vehicle. It debuted on New Year's Eve weekend at the first event of the year in 1989 in Salem, Virginia. And now is back on the East Coast to wrap up the season. This is Ron Smith out of Schoolcraft, Michigan, driving a machine called Gold Fever. This was one of the first of the 1948 Fiat Topolino drag racing style alters that we saw on the U.S. Auto Association Trail, and one of the most powerful, a supercharged, fuel-injected, methanol-burning 490 cubic inch Chevrolet rat motor. The biggest problem for Ron Smith has been keeping this machine in the pit.
That's especially important because, like we said earlier, if you go outside those pylons that are set up, no matter how good a time, you're disqualified.
And, of course, the banners that go down each side of this pit mark the outer boundary lines. You go outside of that, you're also disqualified. It's been one of the most ill-handling vehicles of the year, mainly because of its tremendous horsepower, not because of the chassis. A good starting line launch, though, this time, and Ron Smith, oh, I don't believe it. And I'll tell you, that is a big, big disappointment. And you can see even Ron Smith knows it's a big disappointment. That is the first time that vehicle has made a straight, full throttle run. And indeed, the machine is disqualified for going out of bounds out the back door. Look at this launch. This may be one of the best runs we've seen this year. Perfect, absolutely perfect launch. Straight as an arrow, blasting through the pit. Then watch him try to slow the machine down as it goes up and out of the pit area, past the pylons, and rather than lock up the brakes, Ron just said, well, I'll use those hay bales down there and stop this thing. Just a perfect run, a little bit sideways off the line, but I've never seen that vehicle run so straight. And Shelley, the elapsed time would have been good for number one. 2.06 seconds could have taken over the lead, but he is disqualified, and he is upset. And here's something you don't see in motor racing very much, Shelley. How about a 1987 IROC C28 Camaro in the mud?
This car takes some of the wildest rides we've seen throughout this circuit, and this evening promises to be no exception.
It's true. The machine has a tremendous amount of power, considering the fact that it is a small block Chevrolet, fuel injected using nitrous oxide injection. Only a 383 cubic inch power plant. The machine weighs about 300 pounds more than most of the vehicles out there. But the driver, 24-year-old Mike Behrman out of Holland, Michigan, manages to keep this thing amazingly competitive. It's a solid 2-second vehicle. On the line, Behrman brings the RPMs up. The little 383 cubic inch small block Chevrolet clears out the throttle and now gets ready to take the green flag. Good starting line launch. Excellent run for the Holland, Michigan Camaro. As a matter of fact, I think that's probably the best weight transfer we've seen on that machine. A very unusual cut in the tread of those front tires, as you can see, Shelley.
Doesn't look like there's much to him there at all.
The elapsed time of the run, 2.69 seconds. That's good enough for fifth and a career best in the 80-foot long pit for Mike Behrman's Camaro. Well, tremendous action so far, but believe me when I tell you there is more to come. And we'll be back at Baltimore, Maryland's Baltimore Arena with more U.S. Auto Association Championship Mud Racing and Monster Truck action in just a moment.